The Project Lunenburg Draft Comprehensive Community Plan is ready for feedback. This step represents a significant milestone in Project Lunenburg, where community efforts over the last year and a half have come together, and the goals, objectives, and interrelated actions are being presented to the public for discussion and feedback. The next part of this step will be prioritizing actions and a 5-year implementation plan. Project Lunenburg is a process for creating and implementing a holistic long-term plan for the future of the community. It defines community goals and aspirations and will chart a course that has community efforts moving in the same direction and contributing to a shared vision for the future. For more background details, please visit projectlunenburg.ca. Since February 2019, hundreds of people have participated in Project Lunenburg engagement opportunities. The project team has carefully gathered and analyzed the results to ensure the findings reliably depict the views of the community. We have taken steps to account for participation bias and demographic representation, and ensured that harder to reach or less engaged voices are also heard. Engagement activities have included a series of public workshops, online surveys, and interactive maps, as well as outreach and community stakeholder meetings. Detailed findings of the engagement are available through a series of 9 What We Heard reports on the project website. Some of the most notable themes relate to enabling more year-round economic and community activity, clarifying how to accommodate the needs of today while protecting heritage assets, taking action towards environmental sustainability and climate change adaptation, fostering social cohesion and building inclusive and collaborative relationships, and improving housing access and affordability, especially rentals and options for single-person households. The plans shared in this presentation are intended as possibilities that are open for feedback. These are working documents and no decisions have been made. The content is based on community input, best practices, and technical analysis, which is documented in the discussion papers. As you consider these draft ideas, think towards the priorities for the short and mid-term future, and consider the various perspectives of your fellow Lunenburgers. The comprehensive community plan must represent the collective ideas and desires of residents, both permanent and seasonal, as well as businesses, visitors, and other stakeholders. We invite you to contemplate how these directions might serve the common good in the coming years. The guiding principles are overarching statements about the future direction for Lunenburg. These are value statements that will inform decision-making. The draft guiding principles are: inclusion. We work to ensure a sense of belonging, acceptance, and value for all in our community. Adaptability and incremental change. In the face of uncertainty, we preserve what is of greatest value and pursue desirable change. Collaborative relationships. We facilitate strong social connections and citizen engagement, both locally and beyond. Environmental protection. We protect our local environment and minimize our broader environmental impacts. Living heritage. We interpret heritage with a holistic view, ensuring it is relevant and living within the community. Contemporary excellence. With a history of innovation, we strive to keep achieving the best each era is able to create. Spatially cohesive. The form of our land use creates strong physical links and a sense of uniformity. Harborfront guardianship. Our iconic harborfront will retain its heritage value and be safeguarded for marine activities. Placemaking. We will nurture a public realm that is attractive, enjoyable, accessible, efficient, and safe. The community structure of Lunenburg is defined by its physical characteristics, such as the buildings, streets, and public spaces. The structure refers to the size, shape, and configuration of the community, and incorporates both existing land uses and future growth objectives. As the town prepares for the future, decisions about growth, mobility, building design, and public space should be made in a comprehensive way. The community structure establishes a framework so that Lunenburg can accommodate growth and change in a well-planned way that's respectful of its layered past and creates opportunities for its long-term future. Lunenburg's community structure today is shaped by the historic sequence of the town's development, and land uses have evolved accordingly. Over time, the community structure will influence how specific areas evolve over the next 40 years. With the strong historical significance and heritage resources that exist in the Old Town core, the focus is on continued preservation and enhancement of the built form where possible. The Old Town core area is characterized primarily by storefronts and services, but single-unit dwellings are also present. Where development potential exists, it must be in keeping with the surrounding context, especially with regards to scale and design, but it must be careful not to imitate the existing heritage resources. Lunenburg features 2 distinct established residential neighborhood patterns. There are highly compact neighborhoods that were established before the emergence of the automobile, and newer parts of Lunenburg, which feature considerably less dense neighborhoods, developed in the second half of the 20th century. Through land use recommendations, the plan aims to ensure these established residential areas maintain their character. Housing options permitted in these areas will be similar to what's existing, while allowing some forms of housing that could gently increase density, such as accessory dwellings or backyard suites. Areas which are adjacent to the established residential areas, close to existing services, and located on lands generally suitable for development should be prioritized when residential expansion occurs. The recommendations within the plan connect these areas with existing residential neighborhoods through context-sensitive development, which provides a variety of housing options and enhanced mobility. The Recreation and Education Hub will serve to reinforce the centralized nature of the recreation and education facilities in Lunenburg. The Community Center, Ice Hockey Rink, and Blue Nose Academy all provide residents and community members access to key facilities and programming. Over the life of the plan, the current stock of recreation and education facilities will be revitalized and improved to better serve the community. Victoria Road, which currently serves as a main transportation corridor, has the potential to evolve into a mixed-use main street with mid-rise buildings, ground-floor retail, and a pleasant pedestrian environment, while also accommodating many of its current functions. Parks and public open spaces of all sizes are essential in making Lunenburg an attractive place to live, work, and visit. The town's parks, playgrounds, open spaces, fields, and cemeteries provide a broad range of opportunities for leisure, recreation, and access to nature. The parks and public space areas on this map are intended to retain and expand outdoor spaces, which are critical for the mental and physical well-being of community members. As one of Lunenburg's defining characteristics, the waterfront plays an important role in the cultural landscape of Lunenburg and provides significant context to the built and natural heritage of the town. The plan establishes policies that support the nurturing of both Lunenburg's working and public waterfront to ensure they remain integral pieces of the urban fabric, as both major employment area and a valued public space. As underutilized land, the former municipal waste site along Star Street represents a significant opportunity within the town's boundary. This area is home to the town's wastewater treatment facility and critical power infrastructure, but remains largely underutilized. The comprehensive plan reimagines this site as a waste and sustainable energy district that could become home to significant renewable energy production. Throughout the engagement for Project Lunenburg, housing was a critical topic. Community members expressed interest in access to housing that is affordable, suitable, sustainable, and puts the needs of residents before tourists and investors. The comprehensive plan aims to ensure a wide range of high-quality and affordable housing options are available. Areas within the town have been identified where different scales of housing can be accommodated. In existing residential areas, the plan promotes gentle increases in density through implementations such as accessory dwellings, which are developed either within a primary residence or as a backyard suite. The land use bylaw will regulate scale, lot coverage, and servicing of these accessory dwellings. Medium and high-density residential development can be accommodated into the existing built fabric of Lunenburg as a continuation of established residential neighborhoods in a variety of dwelling forms and unit sizes. The comprehensive plan also addresses housing design, which is not only the architecture of a building, but also the accompanying landscape and infrastructure. Throughout the town, housing design should incorporate barrier-free principles, energy-efficient design, and opportunities for gentle density and shared open spaces. Changing market trends can lead to a demand for alternative housing models which better suit emerging needs. Through its policy recommendations, the plan encourages the town to promote and adopt various housing models, including co-housing, grouped housing, and cooperative housing. The plan also recommends financial tools to help in the development of affordable housing, such as a municipal land bank and community land trust. These models improve affordability by separating the cost of housing from the cost of land and could create a community-based alternative to conventional market housing. While vacation rentals have been present throughout recent history, the more current development of online listings hosted through websites like Airbnb has increased both the popularity and the transparency of this market. Recommendations within the comprehensive plan propose the development of a standalone short-term rental bylaw, which could require residents wishing to host their primary residence as a short-term rental to register with the town, while secondary residences could be required to register as a commercial tourist accommodation with the province. These policy directions aim to create clear and enforceable enabling policy which allows short-term rentals where appropriate. Building and maintaining the stock of rental housing will be crucial to attracting and retaining residents, particularly young people, students, seasonal employees, and low-income households. Financial programs for both renters and owners can provide upfront assistance with expenses, and a rental registration program can create an effective inventory of rental housing in the town and improve enforcement. Municipal governments provide many of the services and facilities that most impact the day-to-day lives of citizens. The provision of drinking water, collection and management of waste, and delivery of many other basic essential services to households and businesses all fall under the purview of local governments. This plan aims to ensure that Lunenburg's long-term infrastructure needs are met through strategic management and well-phased upgrades. The town owns and operates its municipal water supply utility, providing residents and businesses with potable water and fire protection. The recommendations within the plan aim to ensure the town continues to have a good servicing capacity to sustain future development potential. This includes studies to monitor and evaluate drinking water infrastructure, protecting Dares Lake as a water supply, and introducing water consumption metering for individual residents and businesses. The town of Lunenburg's wastewater system services businesses and households in the town and adjacent areas outside the boundary. The recommendations within the comprehensive plan focus on ensuring the town's wastewater system and its infrastructure continue to serve the community by undertaking upgrades where necessary. The wastewater system also plays a key role in how stormwater is managed in the town. Some of the precipitation that doesn't get absorbed into the groundwater supply is ultimately collected and treated at the town's wastewater treatment plant, costing the town and potentially threatening the integrity of the system. The plan recommends the adoption of green infrastructure practices and net zero standards to prevent precipitation from entering the wastewater system, among other implementations to prevent the expensive, unnecessary treatment of natural precipitation. As the town grows, upgrades to the sewer system will be required. The plan makes recommendations for phased priorities for these upgrades. The town currently owns a number of buildings and facilities that can be leveraged towards future goals. There are two primary facility needs for the town of Lunenburg: a centralized public works building and new spaces for community and recreation events and programs, including meeting space and arts and cultural space. There are many structures which have had changing roles over the last several years and may be surplus to the core requirements of the town. There are a few scenarios whereby the town could adapt, sell, or lease these properties in a manner that will meet the core facility needs and generate revenue to finance construction and renovations. Transportation is essential in the daily lives of residents, and it also impacts the experience of visitors. Despite a relatively dense and compact road system, the town is challenged by a lack of connectivity between Old Town and New Town, by a hilly topography, and by high automobile and pedestrian numbers during the tourist season. Through the recommendations on mobility, the plan positions Lunenburg to become a town with an integrated transportation system for all modes that can support the needs of both residents and visitors. The roads within our communities play an important role in how we move. In Lunenburg, the street layout and design reflect the various time periods in which it was developed. As a result, there are areas where these streets converge to create congestion and often dangerous conditions. The plan has identified road improvements, including intersection realignment, provisions for new roadways, and reduced travel speeds along some streets to create a safer, more enjoyable environment for pedestrians and drivers. There is a tremendous opportunity within Lunenburg to promote greater active transportation use as a viable option for residents and visitors. The plan focuses its recommendations on new connections, bicycle facilities, and pedestrian infrastructure to promote greater uptake. Linking existing routes such as the Beta Bay Trail to new connections across town will improve mobility options and connectivity. The plan pairs these macro-level implementations with fine-grained design elements that enhance individual spaces. Sidewalk bump-outs, shortened crosswalks, and other design strategies can help create safe and comfortable spaces for pedestrians. A linear park along the east side of King Street would not only improve active transportation in the Old Town core and reduce traffic congestion, but also create a vibrant and welcoming gathering space for people to linger. Giving over a few parking spots to this purpose is manageable with new parking strategies. Throughout the initial engagement for Project Lunenburg, parking availability was a concern for many residents and community members. A coordinated approach to parking management will help to eliminate congestion that is experienced during the tourist season. Dedicated visitor parking, tour bus, and RV parking outside of Old Town will help reduce congestion along streets. The plan has also identified parking permits and commercial delivery programs to assist in parking and traffic management. Although Lunenburg does not have access to a public transportation system, 2 studies have previously been undertaken exploring the feasibility of regional transportation. The plan supports the continued investigation into this option, among other opportunities to improve both local and regional mobility. A resounding message that arose through Project Lunenburg was the desire for a more balanced economy that provides for year-round and well-paying employment. The business community and the broader population emphasized the need for town government to take on a greater role in economic development. The plan identifies several municipal initiatives and partnerships that the town could establish in order to promote greater economic development in Lunenburg. Initiatives include the development of a renewed community brand, dedicated economic development staff, and the creation of a detailed inventory of local economic data. Much of the commercial activity within Lunenburg is concentrated in Old Town, and the historic buildings and small lot sizes create an environment that can take advantage of high traffic. Future commercial activities should continue to leverage the advantages inherent to the built form of the Old Town area, but also establish conditions conducive to economic prosperity in other areas of Lunenburg. One of the primary messages delivered by the community was the need to find more of a balance between tourism uses and other services. The policy recommendations are intended to ensure tourism is still supported, but that the economy primarily serves residents and employees within the town. Some recommendations include identifying opportunities for the shoulder season, support for the artistic, cultural, and heritage sectors, enabling both eco and cycle tourism, and creating a communications plan with cohesive messaging. Lunenburg is home to many small-scale independent retailers and services that provide local residents and visitors access to goods throughout the year. While chain retailers are present and serve an important function, the scale of these businesses can disrupt the streetscape through their placement and design. Recommendations within the plan look to create land use conditions that support small and large-scale retail trade, while ensuring they fit into the streetscape and the fabric of the town. Lunenburg's waterfront has long been one of its principal assets, and shipbuilding, aeronautics, fish processing, and metal fabrication play a considerable role in the town's local economy. The recommendations within the comprehensive plan aim to ensure the waterfront and industrial activities continue to operate in the town. The plan makes recommendations to improve marine infrastructure and actively recruit businesses in the marine industrial sector. The history of Lunenburg and the surrounding land begins long before the arrival of European settlers. The Mi'kmaq have been present on what is now called Nova Scotia for at least 10,000 years. When French settlers arrived in Lunenburg in the 17th century, they relied on Mi'kmaq knowledge of the land to access rich natural resources. European settlement continued with the British, German, and other European colonizers in the 18th and 19th centuries. Throughout Nova Scotia, Mi'kmaq people experienced illness and forced displacement, despite the treaties of peace and friendship. The impacts of European settlement have often not been accurately recorded in the history of what are now predominantly white communities, and the legacies of colonial structures persist today in what is now recognized as a genocide on First Nations people, which continues throughout Mi'kmaq and Turtle Island today. As the 2019 National Inquiry into Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls states, this genocide has been empowered by colonial structures evidenced notably by the Indian Act, the 60s Scoop, residential schools, and breaches of human and Indigenous rights. Lunenburg has continued to evolve over the course of its history and is well known as the best surviving example of a planned British colonial settlement in North America. The recommendations within this plan aim to ensure that it continues as a living heritage site and recognizes a holistic view of its diverse history. Cultural heritage landscapes are complex combinations of features that have associated heritage values and can include components such as views and streetscapes. Identifying and protecting these elements will ensure the continuity and integrity of the town's heritage. Built heritage includes all the buildings, residential, commercial, and industrial, as well as outbuildings used for storage. It also includes structures and features that support the past activities in Lunenburg, such as wharves and docks. Any changes to the existing built heritage resources must be carefully considered and should balance both practical needs of the present day while minimizing negative impacts on the heritage value of the resource and its surrounding land. The best practices for new additions in heritage areas are based on the principle that as historic places evolve over time, it is valuable to show changes added in different periods. Lunenburg is an example of such a place where the evolution is visible in its variety of architectural styles. There are numerous opportunities in Old Town Lunenburg for infill development. It is on these vacant lots where scale, form, and setback of new dwellings can be managed to conserve the streetscape. The comprehensive plan aims to ensure that new development and additions to historic buildings are carefully considered to ensure the evolution of Lunenburg's built form. There is recognition today in Canada, especially since the findings of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, that reconciliation with Indigenous peoples is greatly needed. One of the first steps that communities may take to advance reconciliation is to acknowledge the First Peoples on whose traditional unceded territories we live and work. The Mi'kmaq people have been present long before the arrival of European settlers, and the territory falls within the area covered by the treaties of peace and friendship. The plan recommends the town work to create and foster relationships with local Indigenous communities to inform how to best broaden the historic and contemporary narrative of Lunenburg. Lunenburg is world-renowned for its historic architecture, colorful streetscapes, and working waterfront. While the municipality has changed significantly from its 18th century colonial blocks, the original character of Old Town remains remarkably intact. As Lunenburg evolves over the next decades, good urban design can not only beautify Lunenburg, but allow better interaction between people, and between people and their environment. Through cohesive design and access to amenities, we can ensure Lunenburg's urban environment is attractive, enjoyable, and sustainable. The way people experience a street is closely tied to the attributes and physical elements of the built environment. Good streets make a user feel safe and comfortable and have high aesthetic values, while helping to define the character of the place. The comprehensive plan looks to promote purposeful design through recommendations regarding lighting, materials, waste management, amenities, and accessibility. The presence of sidewalks greatly enhances the safety of pedestrians. Sidewalks are often raised above the street surface, providing a greater level of comfort and safety. While the plan makes recommendations for strong sidewalk infrastructure, it also acknowledges that in some contexts, sidewalks may not be suitable. The plan also supports the development of shared streets, which can be implemented through minimal design interventions and reduced speed limits, allowing both pedestrians and cars to use the same spaces safely. Street trees come with benefits both to the environment and human health, and a connected urban forest enables the development of interconnected habitat corridors. Lunenburg has an extensive street tree network that serves a multitude of functions, including to delineate roadways, calm traffic, shade pedestrians, filter pollutants, among many others. This plan ensures the town continues to have a healthy and thriving tree canopy. Wayfinding involves the use of a variety of spatial and environmental information, from the logic of building arrangements to naming and numbering systems. A clear, organized set of sign elements strategically arranged to aid the wayfinding process is a key part of the overall system and is supported by the comprehensive plan. Fundamental to the future of Lunenburg will be adaptation to changing environmental conditions. Gazing 40 years into the future, the plan looks to ensure that Lunenburg is ecologically diverse and climate resilient, adapting to the changing climate while also reducing the community's overall footprint on the environment. As a coastal community, Lunenburg is poised to be greatly impacted by climate change, including sea level rise. This preparation requires a systematic approach, and the plan establishes recommendations for the town to continue to monitor sea level rise and adopt adaptation techniques to minimize the impact on the community. There are significant benefits to adopting renewable energy production. This allows a community to reduce both energy costs and the reliance on fossil fuels. Renewable energy production can be adopted at multiple scales, from the individual level to the municipal and regional. Another strategy to reduce costs is energy efficiency implementations which reduce energy demands. The comprehensive plan supports the uptake of renewable energy production in the community, as well as measures which encourage residents and homeowners to reduce their energy consumption. Worldwide, there is a growing movement towards waste reduction, and provincial and federal legislation has been introduced that could see single-use plastics fully or partially banned from circulating. Waste reduction, however, includes more than limitation of single-use items, and also involves a collective approach to reducing and diverting waste from our landfills. The plan provides direction for education, regulation, and operational measures aimed at reducing waste in Lunenburg. Urban agriculture has been increasing in popularity in recent years, and communities across Canada are incorporating urban agriculture and community gardens into their land use regulations. The COVID-19 pandemic has further highlighted the benefits of local food production, by threatening supply chains and leaving local businesses and economies at risk. Small-scale urban agriculture can reduce our reliance on industrial food production and also works to reduce social isolation and strengthen communities. The plan supports the adoption of urban agriculture practices, including roadside vending, the development of community gardens, and home-based operations such as the keeping of bees, rabbits, and fowl, and the sale of urban agriculture products. Despite its significance to the local economy and identity, the Lunenburg Harbor has water quality issues that prevent it from realizing its full potential. The plan supports actions to clean the harbor, prevent further pollution, and monitor water quality. Cultural and recreational spaces are vital components to the community. These spaces facilitate sports, fitness, leisure, social gatherings, activism, the arts, and cultural activities, all essential to personal health and well-being. These functions help to build strong communities, boost the economy, and reduce the costs of healthcare and social services. The vitality of the arts is closely linked to the quality and availability of services and locations where these activities take place. Facilities include a wide range of public, private, and community-based spaces, both indoor and outdoor. Recommendations have been established to protect existing arts and cultural spaces, as well as create and enable new ones. Creating an outdoor amphitheater and permitting live-work studios are two recommendations specifically aimed at ensuring an adequate supply of arts and cultural facilities. The further development of the arts and cultural sector is an indirect responsibility of the municipality, and the plan's recommendations recognize that community partnerships and shared management will better enable the delivery of inclusive programming and arts-based tourism. The community center and arena, Lunenburg's primary sport and leisure facilities, are located centrally in the town, but are nearing the end of their life and will require significant investment or replacement over the life of this plan. The recommendations within the plan focus the town's efforts in understanding how this area may be used in future as part of the education and recreation hub. Parks, public open spaces, and trails are important assets within Lunenburg's community space network. Parks and public spaces can include playgrounds, cemeteries, seating areas, and other environmental features. The plan focuses on improving existing open spaces as well as the academy, while also looking to develop new playground spaces in Newtown and a linear park on King Street. To enhance the waterfront experience, the plan recommends providing opportunities to interact with the water and ensuring wharves are used to their full potential. Trails also serve an important function in connecting people with their communities, and the plan aims to expand the network of trails while also improving accessibility through amenities and navigation. Culture and recreation have a key influence on quality of life, and many local residents engage with these activities in a variety of ways. Unfortunately, there are unique barriers to participation among some groups, including young people, seniors, low-income families, women, and LGBTQ+ individuals. This plan emphasizes the importance of inclusive community programs and events designed to reduce or eliminate these barriers. The coming decades will further expand the requirements for good municipal governance, and good governance will come to be defined not only by community access to decision-making, but community participation in the implementation of those decisions. To that end, the plan hopes to ensure Lunenburg is a town where positive relationships, communication, continual engagement, and shared visions are the foundation of municipal decision-making. Implementation of the comprehensive community plan over the next 40 years will likely require some new ways of working within the town administration. Carefully assessing and challenging the status quo is invaluable for ensuring high-quality, modern service delivery. The plan recommends an operational view which would require taking an in-depth, objective, big-picture look at the municipal organization as a whole. It would include identification of opportunities to maintain or improve core services, while also enabling support for broader community goals. Commitment to good governance is demonstrated by engaging the full range of community interests in a number of ways. Engagement of the community most often focuses on gathering input in a decision-making process, but it should also include the community involvement in implementing those decisions. This requires two-way communication, keeping citizens informed while also continually acquiring knowledge of the social and economic conditions of the community. The need for collaborative regional governance is driven by a number of factors, including the complexity of issues faced by local communities, such as climate change and housing. On a more basic level, small municipalities increasingly struggle to afford working in isolation. Regional partnerships are fundamental to achieving better outcomes in a fiscally constrained environment. Joint or shared services are a common approach in Nova Scotia, facilitated and administered through formal agreements between municipal governments that allow municipalities to pool resources. The plan recommends these arrangements be reassessed and considered in order to ensure the provision of high-quality services. To address these issues, the plan makes recommendations for the town to establish frameworks and relationships between local governments, local leaders, and regional stakeholders. Thank you, and please visit projectlunenburg.ca for engagement opportunities.